Guys, good Tuesday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We are live across Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We're presented and powered by Ting, crazy fast internet. We use this internet to power this network, and it is not even comparable to what's out there. J-Dubs, let's get the link on screen, ilove.ting.com, to save $289 on the best internet out there. Guys, a fantastic program lined up for you, an entrepreneur that I admire tremendously on the show, and Scotty Williams. This guy, I will say it once, I will say it again, I'm going to embarrass him on this program, Jack Diesel. I'll say Chris Collins and Scotty Williams, the best athletes we have had on this program, bar none. If you need to do a P90X class, you want this guy next to you because his energy will get you through the class in those dog day minutes when you're like, I'm sprinting for the front door. Not only that, but this gentleman stays bronzely tan throughout the winter. I got to figure out how he does that on the program. Before we do some items we got to get out of the notebook on today's show. If you could do me a favor, like and share the show. Like and share the show. If you got props for Scott Williams, put them in the feed. I will relay them on air to an entrepreneur that's making the program, making the community so good for all of us. Alex Urpí's in the 1 o'clock hour to preview his show, Today y Mañana, which airs Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. on this network. We will talk about retail investors and the switch to what looks like institutional investors getting a hold of the market again. The 10-year Treasury yield is at a 14-month all-time high. And how about NFTs? You are hearing all about NFTs. I'm going to ask Alex Urpí about that. First, Judah, let's talk news. A week from today, we will have all the candidates running for city council here in studio. Kathy Galvin will moderate a live debate that will be the most watched city council debate in the history of Charlottesville, Virginia. Here is your opportunity to get to know leadership in this community with 2 open seats. Heather Hill said today in the newspaper, which we all already knew, that she is not going to run for a seat on council, so we officially have 2 open seats up for grabs. Some other items, Judah Wickower, our director, I'd like to get out of our notebook. Let's talk brewery, and I want to turn this into a 60-second sizzle reel that goes across our network, Judah Wickower. There is a new brewery that is opening in the very near future in the Gordonsville area. And this new brewery is coming from Andre Xavier and John Craig. I got a message from a good friend of this program, Andre Xavier, about this brewery, and I'm going to give you the details now because, frankly speaking, I'm super excited about it. Gordonsville area is where the new brewery is coming. It's going to be called Patch Brewery. They have 14 acres of land, walking and hiking trails, a baseball field, an 8,000 square foot beer hall, an outdoor pavilion. They have beer, wine, and cider. They can host live events and music. This is going to be in the Gordonsville area, so Eastern Albemarle County, get ready. I know you're chomping at the bit for more options to do. Patch Brewery looks like it's that solution. Andre Xavier and John Craig are the businessmen and entrepreneurs behind CVille Hop On Tours. They have pooled their resources and their vision once again together, and they're going to open up Patch Brewery in Gordonsville, 14 acres, hiking and walking trails, a baseball field for kids, perhaps a perfect situation for Camp4Real. Hint, hint, Andre and John Craig. Outdoor pavilion, live music, live events, and fantastic beer from a brewer that has big time appeal. Now, they wouldn't tell me who that brewer was, but Andre has promised he will come on the I Love CVille show to share the news. I think Patch Brewery is going to be something we all will rally around and support, especially us who live in Eastern Albemarle County. I cannot wait for this brewery to come to market, Judah Wickower. And that, my friend, is a sizzle reel we need to cut. Now, the next topic on today's program has to be basketball. We now have another transfer from the UVA basketball team. Late last week, we heard of Casey Morsell. I thought Casey Morsell's future was super bright. He had a little difficulty putting the ball in the hoop. Shooting, he couldn't find his stroke in his 2 years on grounds, but he was willing to play defense. He had a man's frame. Frankly, he reminded me of kind of like a poor man's Russell Westbrook. He's chosen to transfer from the University of Virginia. Today we find about Jabir Abdul-Rahim. He has entered the NCAA transfer portal as well. This is a 6'7" swingman guard that came in highly touted, a 4-star prospect out of high school, the son of former NBA star Sharif Abdul-Rahim. Now Tony Bennett has lost Sam Hauser, Casey Morsell, and Jabir Abdul-Rahim. That's 3 players. If we read the tea leaves correctly, Jay Huff, who is now a married man, is likely not going to come back to the University of Virginia as a 6th-year senior. Remember, this past year, he was playing as a 5th-year senior because he redshirted to put weight on his frame. As a married man with the degree, I would expect Jay, who has a bright future in professional basketball. I'm not saying the NBA, I'm saying potentially overseas in Europe. This guy can make millions of dollars playing hoops, and that's every kid's dream. It doesn't have to be in the National Basketball Association. It could be in European basketball, whatever it may be. I would expect Jay to say he's not coming back as well. Those are 4 key guys from this team. Expect Tony Bennett and this Virginia basketball team to be active in the transfer market. Remember, Virginia got Sam Hauser and Trey Murphy 3 sticks from the transfer market. Trey Murphy 3 sticks next year may be the guy on this team, and he could be the next star of stars from the Tony Bennett basketball program. Only time will tell. The news today is Jabir Abdul-Rahim has entered his name in the transfer portal following Casey Morsell, and now we have to wonder what's going to happen with Jay Huff if he chooses to turn pro, which we expect he will. That will be 4 key guys on the roster, including Sam Hauser, that Tony Bennett's going to have to replace. I'm going to go to a gentleman on this set 7 minutes early, because not only is this guy positive, not only is this guy energetic, not only is this guy a successful entrepreneur, but this guy is like a bronzed god. Why don't we get his face on screen over here? The bronze god himself, Scotty Williams, in the house. I can follow you around all the time if you like doing this, if you want me to.
I got to get used to it. My face is blood red right now.
How are you, my boy?
I'm wonderful. I'm super glad to be here. I had a little internal conflict. I was like, what do I wear? The first time I was on the show, you're like, just look good. And I rep my sweaty, my hoodie, and I was like, I really want to wear a shirt and tie. I want to go toe-to-toe with Jerry, because I see you every day on here looking good. And I'm like, nah, you've taught me a little something about branding, and that's not my brand. So I got to rock the Camp4Real t-shirt and just got the sweatpants. Trying to look athletic, trying to look fun. So
you're pulling it off. My wife, my son, and I saw him 2 Fridays ago at Stone Robinson Elementary. My 3-year-old, we may or may not have pulled a Danny Almonte and faked his birthday a little bit to get him up playing in the older group. So he's playing soccer with the older kids. I look at the big soccer field because Trey's in the hot shots. And I look in the big soccer field, and this dude has got like 50, 60, 70 kids just loving life, playing sports, doing it safe and socially distanced, running around and having a good time, and made me nostalgic of times pre-COVID. I will emphasize again, you did it safely and the right way. Before we go to the positive impact you're having on this community, how about first the introduction for those that don't know about Camp4Real?
So Camp4Real, we started it, I think this is the 10th year. It's the 9th as Camp4Real, but I started it when I tried to make some positive changes in the school lunch policy countywide, and I just had the most difficult time doing it. And it inspired me. It was like, I'm just going to start my own summer camp, and I'll feed the kids what I want to. And then fast forward 10 years, and we're here, and I'm doing this full time, which I never thought was a possibility. And I'm totally 100% entrepreneur now. You know, as a teacher, we're kind of bred to stay in your own lane, and I don't think the creativity piece goes too much outside of what you're doing with the lesson plans you're doing with the kids. But yeah, so it's evolved into all-day fun physical activity. You know, I'm a PE teacher, formerly 15 years, so I know how to entertain the kids, and we're able to do it socially distant too. But yeah, also, I'm just super passionate about nutrition every day in camp. They're going to have a snack and a lunch, all plant-based, no artificial ingredients, and doing things like smoothie bowls and like sun butter rainbow wraps and create your own cereal. We do fruit and veggie art, so just making it fun for the kids, giving a lot of choices. And if you put healthy things in front of them, they're going to make that choice and they're going to love it. And then they go home. And the best thing I think about it all is when they go and create change at home, positive change at home. We'll do a label reading activity just about every week at camp called Label Detectives, and we teach them how to identify sugar content and how to locate artificial colors in the ingredients. That's easy to do. It's just a color and a number. And then I hear back from parents saying, "Hey, we went through the cupboard last night after Label Detectives and we threw out half the boxes we had. So thank you." And I don't know if that's a sarcastic thank you or a genuine thank you, maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, and it's just a ton of fun. And the thing we're shifting towards even before COVID is self-love. Like, I want those kids to love themselves and know that they are loved. I'm lucky enough to have some amazing colleagues I work with, formerly as a PE teacher, that are still part of my team. And my high school counselors, we call them the C4R is short for Camp4Real, so the C4 rock stars. Those are my kids that are now paid staff, that are former students of mine, they're former campers of mine. And as I see them coming up through the ranks, I'm like, this kid would be awesome when they get older. So I've already got 3 kids in line that I'm ready to groom. They're going to come and help this summer. And just surrounding these amazing kids with people that are super fun, super patient, very loving, and it's just a great time, man. I mean, you said all those kids are loving, like that's how I feel. Like when I'm with the kids, whether it's at Stone Robinson like we were 2 weeks ago, or especially at Blue Ridge, like I'll be out on a canoe out on the lake, we're doing some paddling or whatever, and I'll just stop and I'll tell the kids, like, look out there, look at the mountains, look at the sun. Like, isn't this amazing that we're here right now? And that's what I'm doing for quote unquote work. And it's just, man, it's a good life. And I'm super grateful for it.
He's made his passion his profession. We all should be so lucky. The comments are flying in for Scott Williams. Jessica LaRocco, love the commitment to health. Lauren Dixon Gander, absolutely love Scott and his commitment and passion for our kids. He has been a huge blessing for us and so many families. Lindsay Steele, I love Scotty. Best friend forever from Lindsay Steele right there. Ooh, you're getting some props from a couple of folks that are dropping the sexy bomb for Scotty Williams on the show right here. This man's getting bashful over here. Here's the interactive part of the show is you can give him props and I will relay them on air just like Lisa Costello is doing right now. How about this? The most challenging aspect of my 13 years in business, our firm is 13 years old on May 31st, was from March 5th, whenever the ACC tournament was canceled last year, to now, the last year. So hard. How about Scott Williams and Camp4Real?
Yeah, the same thing. And all the people that are already chiming in, it warms my heart because these are just high quality, just amazing people that I'm lucky to have in my life. And another one of those people, when this all went down, I'm like, I'm going to go fetal position and hope for the best. Hope that things turn out for the best in the summer. And I'm just going to lay low. And I'm lucky enough to have my favorite guest on your show is also my mentor, Lee Elberson.
Lovely. And
every time I meet with him, I just come away feeling better about life, better about business. And he's like, Scott, we're entrepreneurs. We got to pivot. It was before pivot was ad nauseum.
Right.
He's like,
now it's a cliche.
Yeah, I didn't know the word pivot. And he inspired me to do so. And before you knew it, I was on there doing Facebook workouts, Facebook Live workouts. Then we went virtual. I bought a Zoom package for a year and learned how to use Zoom. And I had a lot of my former students and campers doing virtual classes. And I was really apprehensive. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to connect with kids because that's my gift. And I'm very grateful for it. And how am I going to do that on Zoom? But I was able to, to make sure the kids are seen, heard, and loved. Sending them into breakout rooms so they get to collaborate and communicate and create with other kids because they don't want to be on mute the whole time. And I was lucky enough to, it's my business. So if I want to send them in breakout rooms with 2 or 3 kids, they're going to be fine. Whereas maybe the education system are a little bit apprehensive. Who knows what can be happening. But It was great, and we just kept evolving. When the kids went back to school, it was virtual, so the parents didn't want the kids on the screen anymore. So I went out and started doing, we called them fan club workouts. So Fun, Active Neighborhood was the acronym. And literally I would have them 10 to 15 feet apart at your cone. Stay at your cone, you're not moving. We're not using any equipment, but we're dancing. We're playing fitness games which they can stay in place. You get the parents involved. So much fun. We were connecting people. I would go to neighborhoods. People would reach out to me that I didn't know, and I didn't know of the neighborhoods. I always get a lot of support in Glenmore and Ivy and Crozet, where our camps are big, Hollymead. But I was going in the city and meeting all these great people, meeting all these great kids, and neighbors would come walking through, and they just join in, like, hey, we just moved in, we haven't met anybody yet, and then I'm there connecting them. And it was amazing. And then, thankfully, you talked about Blue Ridge, Trip Darren up there, and Coach K. Lemke. They're just, I hope they realize the service they did for those kids, but they were the only school that opened their doors to us. And I told you earlier, we're a nomadic summer camps. We'll just bounce around to different schools, rent different schools. And everybody shut down except Blue Ridge. So we were able to do 5 weeks of camp, and it was amazing. And we were socially distant. We were wearing masks indoors and not really sharing equipment too much, but the kids loved it. And I think anything at that point was going to be great, but it was a great experience. And then summer was awesome. Then the fall, we evolved into more of a workout class. The more we learn about the transmission of the virus, we're doing neighborhood workouts, and now we're doing pop-up PEs, and we're doing Kids Night Out, which is where you saw me in Glenmore. And people like Lauren Gander who chimed in, and
she's watching.
Yeah, Jenny Weinberg from over in Mountain View, and Jana Murphy in Brownsville, Crozet area. All these moms and parents just went out of their way to recruit people, because I can put it out on social media, I can send it to my email list, but it's the moms in the text threads that have been just crucial for us getting kids involved. And I mean, there's so many of them, so many moms that have just went, and a few dads too. I don't want to sell out the dads, but they just championed our cause. And I look forward to every day I get to go see those kids for an hour or 90 minutes and get outside. And that's how I've maintained a little bit of your bronze compliment there, because I am outside playing, and anytime it gets over 70 degrees, my one neighborhood PE group at the Ganders, we've held class every Wednesday since September. They're like, over 70 degrees, you got to bring out the squirters. So we bring out the water games, and it's just so much fun. And I just absolutely love it, and it keeps me connected with the kids. I went, and one of my kids had a birthday the other week, and I dropped off a T-shirt to him, because he's never been to a camp before, but he's been to every single class, and he's super enthusiastic about it. So my man, Big Will, I don't know if his mom's watching, but oh my gosh, love that kid. But yeah, and you'll hear me say my kids. I don't have kids of my own, but all these kids, in the Glenmore area, in the Hollymead area, they're my kids. I love them, and I'm just super grateful. It's to be able to work with them and to be able to have this effect, because they're not having PE. Not many of them. We got some private schools, thankfully, like CCS, and I think Covenant does it as well. But our public schools they're not getting PE, so I'm able to go out there, and we're getting to the schools on the async days. And Blue Ridge, again, whenever the boys are off campus, whenever the students are off campus, we're doing Kids Day Out up there. So Fridays on async days, we're rolling up there. We got 20, 30 kids, canoeing, in the midst of winter, and going on hikes, and the kids are playing in the creek in December, and it's fantastic. I mean, I'm loving life, man. It's amazing.
I can tell you are glowing. The energy is positive and contagious. Every time, I've known this gentleman for a couple years now. First met him at ACAC. Every time I've been around this guy, I've been impressed with the positive energy and the fact that this guy always has a smile on his face. And dude, the feed is blowing up, okay? Let me just give you some props here. Is Cindy Williams your mom?
That's my mama.
She says, I am so proud of my boy. Where's Cindy Williams watching right now?
She's in West Virginia.
Tim O'Hagan.
Yeah.
Round 2. Looking forward to some raw talk with Scotty Will and maybe some dancing again this time. Laura Markey Monroe. My kids are in high school and they still view their time at Camp4Real was one of their best memories ever. My son has a playlist of dance songs for Mr. Dubs. He's the real deal. Jimmy Grisano, Camp4Real is awesome. Scott does an awesome job providing an awesome camp for kids. He's amazing at building positive relationships with everyone and knows how to keep kids active and living a healthy lifestyle. John Jones-PE, a fantastic educator and role model, an absolute role model. Monica Audia, great job, Scott, always cares about our youth. Bubba Monroe, this guy is a local hero. Nationally renowned dance educator from John Jones. Sarah Yeatman Courier. Scott Williams is the best in the game. Keep hustling, Scott. Jimmy says Scott always has positive energy no matter what he does. He truly loves what he does. I can truly see that as well. Roger Butcher, nice job, brother. What a great program. You got a homie in California watching the program right now. This homie is Brent Powell. Sending you love from Cali, Brent Powell. I want to throw this to you. This is a tough question, okay? I'm a dad of a 3-year-old. I'm a rookie in this game. You've been around kids a heck of a lot longer than me. You got the Canton Hall of Fame gold jacket on. I'm just trying to get to junior varsity parenthood here, okay? The one thing I've noticed about my little guy being 3 is he thrives being around his peers and his friends, whether it's improved vocabulary. He's 3, he's learning to talk and get words in his vernacular, whether it's watching one of the older kids ride the balance bike, and he mimics the older kid doing the balance bike, or the kid hitting the ball off the tee. And then he can watch dad do it, but if his buddy does it, he does it much more quickly. So this is the question I'm going to throw to you. This 12-month period of quarantine, can you speak to the vulnerability that you've seen from kids in a 12-month period?
Yeah, most definitely. And it was right away, too. It was in those virtual classes. It was even the Facebook workouts. Like I had a couple students that would just incessantly comment on the feed as I'm working out because they just want that connection. They need that connection. And in the virtual class, I still see my one girl just patiently waiting to be addressed because as everybody's coming in, you admit them into the room. They just want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be loved, and they want to hear their name. And obviously they want to have fun too. But yeah, that's been the toughest part. It's been the toughest part knowing that, and it's been frustrating for me too. I'm grateful that we're getting 20 to 30. I think our biggest camp was 50 last summer, and we divided them. Blue Ridge, amazing facilities. We had 2 gyms. So we divided them to keep the numbers small. But I'm like, I need more. I want more out there. Normally our numbers are up 500-600 a summer, and I think we had around 200 last year. So just want to be grateful and positive for what we do have, but I want to reach those kids as best I can and as often as I can. And getting those, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with the question, like 3-year-old, when can I send them to camp?
That question's coming on the feed.
But the 5-year-olds, and our youngest was about 3 3/4, and I knew the family, had 2 older siblings. But whenever there's a young kid there, like a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old that may not be as mature, the camp in general just rallies around that kid. Even from a social distant perspective, you've got the older kids that, normally we divide them based on age, but with COVID, we had to do things a little different. And my counselors are looking out for them. The older kids, I know who my leaders are, so I've got, hey, so-and-so, they need a little help. They need to make sure they get their backpack from the gym up to the lake, and just to see the older kids rally around them. And it's kind of a modified version of our Camp Buddy system where we do an all-star. That's the older kids, rising 3rd grade and above, and anybody below that's a rising star. And we put the big kids and the little kids together every day. Every day we do something. We start off camp with a cooperative activity. And to see those kids light up, the rising stars, the younger kids, their eyes light up. They get to work with the big kid. They get to hang out with the big kid. Big kid's going to know their name. And the big kid, the older kid, they're a leader. Who doesn't? I mean, you pumping me up here when we just coming in. My goodness, you think I wouldn't like it for how red I was looking down at the ground, but absolutely love it. So who doesn't want somebody kind of just looking up to them and pumping them up and loving on them? And yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it. Like I love connecting people, and we need it now more than ever. And what better way than if you don't want to send them to a week of summer camp, we're doing stuff outside for an hour here and there. And the parents that can attest, they're like, this is my kids look forward to this. Like the entire week they look forward to this. And thankfully we got We got Ben D'Alessandro and Vaba in the YMCA.
You got Ben D'Alessandro in the mix?
Well, no, I'm just saying we got them doing their part too, safely what he did.
Polar Bear.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah. I saw it in person. I need to meet that guy. But the YMCA, they were doing their thing too, and we're all coming together. This isn't a competition, which I found out. We had a minor COVID concern, like a parent of one of the campers. And I didn't know how to handle it. I kind of freaked out a little bit. And within 15 minutes, I got Kirsten from ACAC and Jessica from YMCA on the phone, and they're willing to help me out. And those are the big dogs over at those organizations that oversee the summer camps, and they're willing to help me out. And that's why I love not only what we're doing, but what Ben's doing, what the Y is doing, and soccer's been on it too.
Let's give Scott some props and stir the pot a little bit. Chris Collins, we got a lot of folks at ACAC watching. I'm going to say this. This guy versus you, most diesel ever on the show. He's nodding his head because he knows Chris Collins is a beast. Chris Collins, I know you're a beast too. This guy is also a beast here. You're getting serious props from your family, from your friends, from people in the community. Stephanie Wells Rhodes asked this question right here. She tags her sister-in-law and says, this camp sounds awesome for our nephew, her nephews, her sister-in-law's kids, Gregory and Ethan. She says, I agree 100%. Every child needs their place in the world and to feel important. And Scott Williams is doing just that. How about the resiliency of children? This is what I've noticed, even with my kid, and again, he's 3, okay? But what I've noticed with the kids in the neighborhood in the little pod we formed in one of the neighborhoods you mentioned in eastern Albemarle County, I've noticed that these kids are resilient. So when they're challenged, they can rise to the occasion. If we put our confidence in the next generation of leaders, they will meet those expectations and surpass. How about how you have seen it?
That's why I love kids. They're just going to make it happen. When I pull up, they're ready to go. You can't even tell any struggles have happened with these kids just because their attitudes are great. And I hate when people call me the boss because my leadership style is totally horizontal. I am not a vertical chain of command, and I think that's one reason I have really good rapport with kids is I want to hear. How can we make this better? We're collaborating. I'm going to tell you, this is how we're doing this activity. I want to hear from you. What can we do to make it better? And I saw that a lot in the virtual. I saw a lot, they always wanted to collaborate. The chats were going crazy because, I can't talk to all 20 kids at once, especially in Zoom. And they're just wanting to make the best of the situation. They want to make it better. And they were so patient with me too because as I'm going in, I don't know how to use Zoom. I have my man Gus. He was one of my older students, and I was like, "Hey, how do I do this on Zoom? How do I do this?" And he loved being no judgment whatsoever. Not he knows me, and he knows I go to my kids all the time for ideas. And he was like, "Oh, you just do it this way. You just do it this way." So they're so patient in helping me form what. Obviously, I'm biased. We had a blast in those virtual classes. I was doing virtual birthday parties. We were playing virtual hide and seek. We were playing race to 270, teaching about the Electoral College. So much that over in Glenmore, one of my boys, he wanted to do that with his in-person birthday party. And these kids were just so patient. They were ready to have a good time. They were ready to connect, and they were ready to collaborate. And let's make this better.
Over on TikTok. Jerry, you got to get this guy dancing on the show. This is from the TikTok platform. I love it. Live on every social media platform possible. Let me give you some props from the people coming in on the feed here. Get ready, Scott, because this is tremendous props that are coming here. So this one is coming in from Kristen Williams, repping my Camp4Real shirt during my lunchtime workout in New York City. Kristen Williams. Diana loves Scott's passion for physical activity in kids. Mary Thompson, Walsingham Academy in the house. She says, go Scott, go. Sarah Williams, Mason and Ava love their Uncle Scott and his dance moves. She's basically going hint, hint, hint. Multiple people asking for Scott to dance here. He may do it. Jamie Crow is giving you props. Scott is awesome. My daughter loves Camp4Real. They do an awesome job. Matt Munson, love what you do. Ashley Thornton, Scott is awesome, and the camps he offers through Camp4Real are absolutely fantastic. Multiple people are asking that have not been a part of Camp4Real how they can get involved with Camp4Real with their kids.
You can go on Camp4Real.com to see all of our offerings. Like I said earlier, we're doing summer camps. We've got, so far, 7 weeks, kind of alternating between Blue Ridge and Miller School, so totally different ends of Charlottesville, or Albemarle County, I should say. Blue Ridge is obviously in Greene County. But our Miller camps are filling up fast. I'm going to talk with them, see if we can add another one there. I don't think we'll be in any ACPS schools, unfortunately, this summer. But if you go to our website, so? I don't believe so. They're doing some. They have some pretty cool ideas, but I don't think they're going to open it up for rentals. But yeah, if you follow us on IG or Facebook, we're always sharing the word about. So I got a pop-up PE at Bel Air today. I got Elizabeth Matthews over there, former Meriwether parent. She always helps me organize that one. And we've got some kids ready to have a good time by the pond over there. We're got a 90-minute workout, and then on Friday we'll be at Broaduswood and Baker Butler, working with the PE teachers there, and we're doing another kids' night outside at Meriwether Lewis, my old stomping grounds, Friday night. So there's always something going on. We're starting a new neighborhood PE group at the Ganders house that I talked about, and that's open on Wednesdays. So always looking, always evolving, trying to find different ways to be better and to get out there and to see more kids.
What have you learned about yourself, Scott Williams, over the last 12 months? And also, walk us through the flip book of like the emotions, because all of us sometime over the last 12 months, I'm sure felt like scared and depressed and like, what the heck are we going to do? How are we going to pay I know I did. How are we going to pay the bills? Because like you, if we don't get to work, we don't make money. Walk me through that flip book of raw emotion and then what you learned about yourself.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, and it's 100% how I felt, like fetal position. Just like hope for the best. I'm going to go hole up in my best friend Jason Courier's house, like we co-quarantined together. And I was just like, I'll ride it out. I'll spend time with my best friend. You know, it's not going to be that bad. Hopefully just hope for the best in the summer. And like when I talked to Lee, you know, he kind of lit that fire. But yeah, there was definitely a scarcity mindset. The first time I was on the show, I was beaming. I'm still beaming, thankfully.
You still are beaming.
But but I think it was fall 2019. Like everything was working well. The consulting gigs, I was traveling all over the country, come back here and doing the kids' night out events, having 80 to 100 kids each. So I'm on fire. When I'm about to get in front of 80 to 100 kids, when I haven't seen kids all week, is the best feeling in the world. And yeah, I made the right decision. Left teaching, that was a huge leap for me, and not looking back. And then I started questioning it. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? You know, maybe I should have just stayed there, stayed in the teaching position. You know, I had plenty of people telling me, what about your pension? What about your pension? Maybe I should have stayed for my pension. You know, it's safe. But no, just getting in front of the kids though. That's what it was. It's Lee pushed me. He inspired me. And once I started getting in front of the kids, then it started feeding me a little bit more. And once I started getting support from those parents, my goodness, I've talked about them. Tracy Betsworth over in your neighborhood. My goodness, that lady, if I could be 1/16 as organized as her, I'd be nationwide right now, I think. She's amazing. And just having that type of support, I get emotional. Like you were talking about getting emotional on the show the other day, which I loved. Very empowering for men, by the way, so thank you for that. Like, I get choked up. Like, these parents are just champions for us. And, man, I'm just grateful for it. So, can't stay down too long with support like that. And with kids all over the county just feeding my soul. You know, I just absolutely love it.
Grace Lancaster, my stepdaughter did Camp4Real before COVID. It was one of the best experiences of her life, especially meeting new friends outside of her friend circle. Also, Jerry, please ask your guest, how does this man never age?
Clean eating. I've been vegan 11 years, so I gotta pub that. Definitely try
You love this, don't you?
Oh, yeah. So I have good genes, too. If you've seen my dad and my
Cindy
uncle,
Williams?
Oh, yeah. Well, my mama, too. But my dad doesn't. I mean, my dad and my uncle are just genetic freaks. I don't. So I have to attribute it some to that.
How so? They're just diesel?
Yeah, my uncle is, I don't know, what's he, like 11 years? He's like his mid-50s. And he came down and did a workout class with us with Katie Spangler. I don't know if you know
at
about
ACAC?
her. Yeah, Bond Boot Camp. She is a beast. I'm consulting with her now on the nutrition side of things too. She's amazing, but she put us through a workout class. And it was so difficult. He came in and just jumped right in and, went up and went out to a concert that night at the Jefferson, got up the next morning, probably on 5 hours sleep, played football, ultimate football for 2 hours in the 90-degree humidity. And my uncle was just like there. And he doesn't keep up with himself. He's just like, I'll show up and I'll just do it. And he did. So, yeah, that's definitely that and just eating clean. That's what I try to teach the kids. We don't. I'll say it's a vegan summer camp to my vegans, but it's a healthy eating camp. Like, I'm not pushing veganism. I eat more plants, eat healthy, and trying to encourage the kids. But we don't preach perfection. Every parent's going to agree with, I want my kids to eat more fruits and vegetables. Yes, more plants, please. Like, I'm not trying to turn anybody off or be super extreme. I want to meet people where they are. But yeah, just cutting out those artificial ingredients, though. Camp4Real, real food. That's one of the biggest ones. When I cut that stuff out of my diet, I used to get sick 3 or 4 times a year because I was around 450 kids that were hugging all over me, and of course I'm gonna get their germs. But when I cut out artificial stuff, my immune system just got jacked. I didn't get sick for 4 years. I didn't have not once, because I just started eating right. So why wouldn't I don't want my kids learning that in their late 20s.
Yeah, when you did.
Early 30s. Yeah. No, I want them to learn it now. So I want them to learn all the things, with nutrition, but also.
How old are you?
I'm 43.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
How often do you hear that? All the darn time. The man's being humble over
here. The gray. I love the gray. I love it, but the gray kind of gives it away.
Get out of town. Yeah. I would never have guessed. Olivia Branch, we need more superstars like Scott working with our youth in this community. And guys, I'm going to give you, listen to all the stuff that's coming in here. Justin Bird recently had the privilege of meeting Scott. He's a great dude doing great things for the community, always willing to collaborate with other businesses for the betterment of this community. Eric Fisher, Scott's impact has reached all the way to Montana. He keeps me inspired to make a great impact in kids' lives and for our own camp in Bozeman, Montana. Lauren Gander, our house loves rainbow wraps now because of Scott. You're getting props from Ashley Thornton. Scott is awesome. The camps offer true Camp4Real fantastic stuff. This is from Laura Kraling. I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up, Laura Kraling. I have a 6 and 9-year-old. How can you accommodate 2 different ages like 6 and 9 so I don't have to drive all over town? That's a good question.
Oh, we accommodate. So at our outdoor adventure camps, that's what the camp is at Miller and Blue Ridge. We have those amazing facilities there. We have our own swimming pool, our own lake. We got hiking and biking trails. So a lot of those are conducive to where you can have mixed age groups. So when I've got my young 5-year-old and 6-year-old, I've got my older kids there, my 12 and my 13-year-olds. And the middle schoolers will come back. That's what I love. Oh my gosh, I love camps at Blue Ridge and Miller because the middle school kids will come back. They don't want to come back to their old elementary school. They're too big for that. Where that's more of a PE all day type thing with the healthy eating. We avoid outside for the most part just because it's so hot and the kids wilt, because there's no natural barrier to the weather out there, like when we have the pool and the trees at the hiking trails and the lake. At the elementary schools, we'll divide them based on age. But at Outdoor Adventure, I would prefer to have them broken up into age groups, but especially with COVID, we're just everybody's together, in smaller groups. And we have to make some modifications when we're doing our PE style games, so we don't have the older kids totally dominating. And some of the modifications we make are hilarious, and the younger kids love it, and the older kids love it too because it's an added challenge. So, yeah, that's why I'm so grateful for Blue Ridge. Karen Fink is the guidance counselor at Broadus Wood, and Trip Darren, the headmaster's wife, and she was insistent. She's like, you need to come out here. And I reached out once, and something didn't happen, and she was insistent. She followed up. She's like, go contact them again. And thank goodness for her, because that's how we survived last summer, and that's how we're doing kids' day outs and winter break camps. That's all at Blue Ridge. And Miller School too, Tommy Lansadell. I don't know if you know him from the basketball circuit, but PE teacher at Stone Robinson, and his wife works at Miller. He's like, you might want to look at a camp at Miller. I think that was back in 2017. And again, it's the community. It's like I told you that the classes, the camps, they're a collaboration. Like, this isn't me leading everything. It's like all of us. It's horizontal. All these people that, like Tommy and Karen, that have pushed this thing forward, getting me to think outside the box. It's been amazing.
What's next? What's next? Dude, and I got to be honest here. You got like 29 people here asking you to dance on the program right here. This is literally 29 people that I can see asking you to dance here. But before we get to that, and we're going long with Scott Williams because I love the positive energy here. We're about 41 minutes into an interview that he and I planned for about 19, and that's because of you. That is because of you. Alex Urpí, my friend, we will go to you, I promise, in a matter of minutes here. I got a question. What is next for Camp4Real? What's the next evolution of the brand and programming and the business?
So we're going to keep with the programming until summer, and that's kind of serves as our outreach, but it also gets me in front of kids, which I need for my mental well-being. I need to be in front of kids and playing with kids. And you'll see me. I hope you saw me out there. I'm not standing around directing.
You're as active as the kids.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of it. Yeah. We'll keep doing that, and then once summer camps roll, I'm just like 8 to 5 every day, working with my kids and just absolutely loving life. And long term, I want to grow more. Just trying to, like I referenced the organization piece. Like I'm still working on that, so I can branch out and get some other PE teachers in different areas. Like Jimmy from Virginia Beach, he chimed in earlier. West Virginia, I've got a huge support system there. We had 53 kids ready for our first event there, a kids' night out event, and it was like the first COVID cancellation we had. So that's where my nephew is. That's where my family is. So we're ready to blow up there too, and working on maybe doing that a couple weeks there this summer. Still working on that. But long term, I want to reach more kids, and that might be because right now we're a for-profit technically, and that's just. In some school districts and some frames of mind, that's like poison. Like that's seen as a negative. Like I think with a nonprofit status, it's easier to see the good you're doing for the community. And I've been fighting that for a while. I'm like, we're doing good things for the community. You know, it's just for-profit status. But I just think there's that misnomer. And big picture, you know, I'm talking with Rahul at CIC, and he's going to be. I think he's going to help me set up a not-for-profit.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I think that'll help it grow because, and it's good to be in a mindset now. I told you I'm not in a scarcity mindset. I kind of grew up in a scarcity mindset with finances. I don't care about the money as much anymore because I just want to reach more kids. And I think with that type, that's the better goal anyway. But if you're doing what you love and you're doing for the greater good of the community and of the world, I mean, it's gonna come. That stuff's gonna come. Money, so got to get that not-for-profit going. I think that's going to open up a lot of doors for us.
Respect.
Keep Camp4Real too, but maybe just have two separate entities kind of rolling together.
Respect. So multiple moms are asking how we can get more information. Go to the website, Camp4Real.com, the number 4. Branding suggestion from me, advertising agency here.
Please.
I just did a quick search from a URL standpoint. Camp, F-O-U-R spelled out, real.com is available, $11.99. And Camp, F-O-R-R-E-A-L.com is also available, $11.99. Maybe you buy them both. And you have them direct to the main platform, Camp, the number 4, real.com. This guy is A-plus people, and you can just tell by how many people in this community absolutely love this guy. Judah, I'm going to put you on the spot because you know what everybody's asking you. They're asking him to dance. So this guy's going to have to adapt and adjust this camera really
I can do it
really
here.
quickly.
I did it. I think I did it here last time.
Dude, but before we do, because he's got to adjust the camera, then Alex Urpí, we're going to go to you. You are an award-winning dancer using dance for exercise. Put that in perspective, because this guy's got to adjust his camera here while we're talking.
Yeah, I think I'm the ultimate dance ambassador, because when you see me move, you're going to be like, that guy's dancing and having a blast in front of people. I can do that too. And that's how I've empowered PE teachers for whatever reason. I don't know what's wrong with our culture when it comes to dance. It's not seen as manly or cool to dance in a big portion of a big percentage of our culture. And just being around other guys that dance, going to PE conferences and seeing people that Brian Hagball, I'll never forget his name, from Washington State. He led one dance at a national conference. And he was like me. He was super stiff, but he was on beat. You know, I can keep a beat. Like you'll see, anytime I'm learning a new move, like I'm super stiff. And I think that's endearing to people because I'm up there I've been in front of literally thousands of people dancing before. And
you're about to do this on the internet that lives forever here.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
a testament to you.
I
You're
know.
not afraid to show vulnerability.
Yeah, and I will own, like I can feel here the cheeks are getting red.
Tag your
More and more
friends,
red.
spread the word.
Yeah.
Scott Williams is about to dance. Tag your friends right now, text him. Judah is about to get ready here. We should get photos of Scott dancing as well for the show, Judah, on the camera here. Tag your friends right now. Judah, give me some instructions here. Tell me what you need over here. We'll make it work over here. Judah's the director of our program here. He keeps us in line. All right, it looks like he's ready. So tag your friends.
So I got to say, one of the cool things too we're doing with our newsletters, we're collaborating. So I mentioned Katie Spangler and Bond Boot Camp. So we're trying to get. I love helping other small business. So many people have helped me and helped Camp4Real, and we feature somebody fitness related, a smaller business, and went and did a workout with Katie. She's amazing. And this month we featured AKT, new dance fitness studio over there and over there by Darden Tao. And we just did it last Friday. Took three of my high school counselors, and we just danced up a storm. It was so much fun, and that's the move I'm going to use. So Cecily, I'm going to feature one of the moves that I learned.
People are requesting dance moves. Someone said, "Bust a cabbage patch like nobody else. Keep those helium hands down." We got Texas, Montana, Washington, Florida, North Carolina, and New York watching you now.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Thanks for more pressure. I appreciate it.
Tag a friend. Judah Wickhauer, are we ready to do this? So the only thing you got to do, if you want it, you can slide that over the chair so it's not in your way. This man needs some room. I would love if you stand. Can he stand, Judah? Yeah. He could stand.
Somebody mentioned, I think it was Tim O'Hagan, mentioned the cabbage patch. So the cabbage patch, I can never do it. I can't, the smile always goes on my face with the cabbage patch. But the one I learned at AKT is just like, what? It's like, what? And it allows you to, what? And it's easy. And it just allows you to have a little personality, a little attitude. So those are the two moves I'll share with you. At any time with the hips, too. I tell the kids, one of my favorite things, we'll play the hula hoop game. So I'll have them get the hula hoops, and they'll be just hula hooping around. I stop the music.
Susie Lutz says she's watching in the Middle East. This better be good. In the Middle East.
She's a dancing machine. She's a dancing machine. So I tell the kids, I was like, all right, put your hula hoops down. Now, air hula hoop, like you have a pretend hula hoop, and they just roll around. I was like, anytime you need a dance move, there it is, right there, just the hips. So just gotta sell it. Like, I'm not the best dancer, but I love it. What's happening when I dance? A smile on my face. Being vulnerable, I get it. I am self-aware enough to know I'm a little stiff, but doesn't matter.
It took me 30 some years to be comfortable with showcasing vulnerability. And the other day you mentioned, I was like tearing up on camera because I love this community so much and I see it hurting. And I see you have this gift of willing to be vulnerable and showcase that vulnerability. And what I found is when you do that, even more folks will follow your lead. Because we all feel vulnerable. Not all of us have the confidence or the courage to show it in front of others. We all manage it in different ways. But when a man shows it, that really, for some reason, has a huge impact. Why don't you go down that road?
Well, yeah, so it's funny that you're talking about men being vulnerable. So my best friend and I, aforementioned Jason Currier, if you get him on this program ever, I will go down a peg on your most ripped list. And it's two guys like us that are in good shape and in our 40s. I love you. It's not love you, man. Love you. It's I love you. And it's like whenever we play ultimate football, we're around 10 to 16 other guys. We always greet each other with a hug. And that's because that's how we greet each other, but it's also thoughtful. Like we have to get this out and show, inspire others that, hey, it's okay. And he'll even, one day I had to leave early. And he's like, hey, Scott, I love you, in front of everybody. And that even embarrassed me a little bit, but I'm like, no, that's what we need to do. And with the guys, I think a couple of my dancers, I think I talked about them last time I was on. We've got guys that dance, and we'll get together and we'll make videos. And it's Alex in Seattle, and it's Ben in Texas, and it's Matt in Santa Monica, and Matt in Vermont, and Brandon in New York, and Chris in North Carolina. We get together, and we'll all do our own little part, put it together, and it's a video featuring all 7 of us, so males dancing. And I tell a few of them, I'm like, hey, it's not love you, man. It's we end every conversation with I love you. We're going to inspire other men to be vulnerable. Kids, we want, everything too. Mental health. My goodness, when we play one of our our nutrition games, we always try to make nutrition more fun. So I'll share something personal with them just to let them know. Like, you never know when there's a kid there that's apprehensive about going to therapy. And we talk about feeling your feelings, like feel your feels. So if you're sad, talk about it. Go to a trusted adult. Come to me. Go to a counselor. I go to a therapist once a week. And I felt one kid snap up at me like that, like, you go to a therapist? First of all, what's in that kid's head in third grade to where he thinks going to see a therapist and talking about your problems is a bad thing? But then I hear back, like, weeks later, it's like, after you played that game and mentioned that, my kid, who's now, we're in the midst of a divorce, he's going to see a counselor, so thank you. So, I mean, again, it took me 30, going through my separation with my ex-wife, who we're still close to this day. Like, we learned a lot about ourselves, but it took me that long to realize that, yeah, I think it's okay to share that vulnerability, know that you don't know everything, and I've come a long way from that therapy. So again, I learned at 35, 36. I want these kids to know it's okay at 5, 6, 7. I want them to live their best life as early as possible. So I feel like I'm living mine now, but it took me a while. I'm a little bit behind the curve. I'm a little bit slow on a lot of things, and that's fine. But I want them to arrive there a lot quicker.
Scott, you're the man. Scott, I love you, man.
I love you. No, just I love you.
I love you.
Or wherever you're comfortable.
I love you.
That's the thing, too.
Scott, I love you.
Yeah, you got to meet people where they are, though. So we encourage. I love you.
Yeah, dude, you crushed it. I mean,
Thank
I was
you.
like thinking 18 minutes here. We went 45.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be saying I love you.
Dude,
that's a pleasant surprise.
The real talk is what this show is all about, is real talk.
Yeah.
And seriously, man, you are a treasure and you are a gift to any community you're a part of. And to have people like you shaping the next generation, I am eager to pull a Danny Almonte and get my 3-year-old looking like 6 or 7 so he can be in Camp4Real.
I do get that reference.
He needs it. Yeah, Danny Almonte, you do get that, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
baseball pitcher for the Little League World Series?
Yep.
I think he was like 19 playing at 14 or
Be a
something.
reverse Danny.
Yeah, reverse Danny Almonte, that's right. Dude, anytime you want, come back anytime you want.
Thank you.
I swear.
I appreciate it. Appreciate
I sincerely
you having me
mean
on.
that. He is one of the A++ people in any community. Thank you for joining us. J-Dubs will give you the roundabout here to get out, and then we're going to go to Alex, who's been patiently waiting here. Alex, thank
Thanks
you
for
for your
waiting, Alex.
patience.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much, Alex Urpí. I'm going to get to you here. We're actually going to do Alex via phone call. Judah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Alex's phone number queued up, and then you put it next to the speaker or to the microphone that you want. In fact, it's ringing now, and then we'll help Scott out of the show. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. Yeah. Make sure that's on speaker so I can hear him. Alex Urpí is going to join us in a matter of moments. Multiple people saying, "Go, Scott, go." Camp4Real is where you're going to hear it. Let us know when that's live. Is that on speakerphone, Judah?
It is.
All right, Alex, can you hear me over there?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Once again on a Tuesday, you have big shoes to follow. Another entrepreneur on the show, and Scott Williams, but Alex Urpí, you do that every single Tuesday on the show, and on Today y Mañana, Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. Alex, how are you today?
Doing well. I was enjoying watching you and Scott talking, and I'm actually kind of grateful that I'm not on video today. This is where I can't be asked to dance, because I'm not sure I'm quite as vulnerable on the dancing as Scott is yet.
You got that Cubano love, though, so you would have no problem dancing whatsoever. I have a lot I want to cover with you from a finance standpoint on the program. How about the 10-year yield hitting a 14-month high? What do you make about that?
I mean, I think it's, again, we've kind of discussed just the concerns, the small concerns I think that people are having over inflation and things picking up. There was, of course, energy was a little nervous earlier this week with what happened with the ship blocking the Suez Canal. And I think it's definitely, you can kind of see it spooking the markets slightly in the sense of, and I think there's a number of things affecting the markets, but you just see it slightly in the sense that, remember, a lot of major companies, the way they do stock buybacks over the last decade is very low rates, you borrow at extremely low rates, and you use it to buy back your own stock. Right? So when rates rise, that makes that a more expensive proposition. So I think we're seeing a little bit of the nervousness there, but I think just a lot of it's going to depend on on how things go further in the summer and whether the Federal Reserve is really going to let rates rise significantly. And I think this is still a big question mark on that, because as we all know, when these rates go up, that means the government is issuing debt at a higher, it's more expensive. And with the amount of debt we're issuing, they really can't afford that right now. So I think there's going to be still a big question mark as to how much the Federal Reserve really wants to let rates go up.
So that's what I'm worried about. And I was talking about this with a realtor in Keith Smith. And Alex, we were looking at this strictly from a housing standpoint. Mm-hmm. Right now, interest rates at an all-time low. I'm talking like generational low. We're talking money at 3% on a 30-year fix, which is absolutely unheard of. The speculation or the thought process is, if interest rates uptick a little bit, it could potentially stabilize a real estate market that is absolutely out of control, with all the leverage being on the side of the sellers and very little leverage being on the side of buyers. Your thoughts potentially on that topic, and your thoughts potentially on where rates could continue to go. It sounds like you don't think they're going to move much more.
No, I don't. And so, I mean, on the housing topic, I definitely agree with both you and Keith. Just in the sense that we've just seen so many people ourselves. We just really thinking about buying, thinking about even last year, thinking about refinancing, just because of how low mortgage rates have gone. I mean, we've never, especially for people that like my father, who have seen the other end of this spectrum with extremely high mortgage rates. It's almost inconceivable to them to think about this and how low they've gotten. The challenge, as you said, like when the rates rise, yes, I think that would sort of put a damper on just how easy it is for people to go out there and just have this huge demand. To let's face it, it's always a supply and demand, right? It's the seller's market because there is so much demand given the supply. And so anything that reduces demand sort of reduces that spike, that advantage to the seller there. The flip side economically is just that, again, so remember, when you're trying to buy a house, you're the borrower. So low rates beneficial to borrowers. Low rates not so beneficial to, right, as those rates rise, it then becomes detrimental to borrowers, and the biggest borrower right now is the U.S. government. So I think that's sort of our suspicion, both at Xavier's and mine, as to why there's an upper limit here on how much the Federal Reserve is going to let rates rise. Because even though the Federal Reserve is technically independent of the government, we all know that's a very big technically. It's one of those times we say technically, and it means basically not at all, because there is communication constantly between the Federal Reserve Chair and the Treasury Secretary, and we know that even if they weren't talking with each other, it doesn't take a genius to look and see that the government cannot afford to be issuing all this debt at higher interest rate levels. And so that's why we think there's definitely an upper bound here. Do we know where it is? No, but at some point, the Federal Reserve is going to look and say this is simply too expensive a prospect for the government, and we're going to basically either say something, promise to maybe reinstitute one of their purchasing programs, or lower or basically come out and say, oh, I think that inflation will be under control, we won't do this, and I think that will calm the markets.
Alex Urpí, our guest, CEO of Emergent Financial Services. He and Xavier Urpí, the Chief Investment Officer of Emergent Financial Services, host a show called Today y Mañana on Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network. So much I want to cover with you. You are one of my favorite guests on this show because the finance piece is a passion, and you're a heck of a lot smarter than me, so I learn from you. I love to throw this question to you. 2020, perhaps because of all the stimulus money, was certainly the year of the retail investor, new to market investors scooping up meme stocks and other like-minded stocks and making them go bananas to a point that made no common sense. GameStop is a perfect example of that. 2021, it seems the scales of justice have shifted back to its institutional investors. Anywhere you want to go on that topic, Alex?
I think there's a couple things, and And again, I think part of it obviously is that retail investing growth was in some ways fueled by stimulus checks, right? I mean, especially if you didn't need the stimulus, your first thought was, well, I can invest this, I can get into this market. And I think as the prospects of future stimulus decline, people may think twice. It's, well, if I'm not getting any more checks, right, am I really going to use up this one to go into the markets? The second thing, which I think is key here, is, because we've somewhat seen this before in the sense of retail investors, individuals, we all do it. We get really positive and hyped when the markets are going up, right? We feel like geniuses. We feel like everything we touch turns to gold, like Midas. And then when you hit what we call, downturns or little corrections. I mean, I think we're probably looking at correction. This isn't really a recession or anything like that. But slight corrections and downturns, then all of a sudden we don't feel quite as confident, and that's when the institutions say, well, we've been in this for a long time. We know how this works. We've seen this before. And they can be involved. So there's always a quip that active management, which is basically professionals, come into play not when things are going up, but when things are going down. Because that's when you need all those lessons from having been in it for a long time. And it sort of takes out the people who are discouraged by the fact that, let's face it, tech has not done well in 2021. So it's not as exciting, right? I mean, it's very exciting if you're into Tesla and Plug and you're seeing them go up by this huge amount in 2020. No one's quite as excited in 2021 with saying, ExxonMobil is doing well this year, Johnson & Johnson and Coca-Cola, like these big value companies which have done better this year. It's not quite as exciting for the retail investor. So I think that's part of what we're seeing, that when times are good, when the stock market is going up, individuals, we get really excited. When the stock market's going down, we tend to, as individuals, be less excited, and the institutions are saying, okay, here's where I can go into my value and sort of, pick up the pieces of what I think is now at a discount.
Throw this question to you. The first quarter of 2021 is about a day away. The first quarter of 2021 is about a day away of being over. The Q1 of 2021, I wouldn't necessarily call it volatile. I just would call it not performing nearly as well as the last 3 quarters of 2020. How do you look at what happened in Q1 2021? You used the term correction. Should we as investors just say we were up 72% or whatever it was in 2020, now it's 58%, we're still up 58% here. This is what investing in the stock market is.
Oh, I definitely think that's the right attitude. You can't be caught up with short-term saying, well, I should have done this, so if it's a shame it's not up this. Because let's face it, I mean, if you think about it, right, a very simple return of, let's say, 7%, doubles your money, 7% annually, doubles your money every 10 years. So for the average person, I mean, if you can be in the stock market and setting up for your nest egg, and you can average over 20, 30, 40 years, a 7% return, you are going to be fine, because you are going to be doubling your money every 10 years under that scenario. And last year was one of those massive years. And my thinking is always this, right? So let's say you, in total, in some people I know, I mean, obviously certain stocks were up 70, over 100%. But let's say you managed to get a great year, like a 20, 30% return last year across everything you purchased. For me, the mentality is, well, that's great, because that's in the bank. That's banked for 2020. And now going forward, right, even if I have a little bit of a down year, even if the stock market does a -5 this year, it's flat, right? Well, I've banked 32 in 1 year. And I'm looking at a reasonable expectation of hopefully 7 or 8 a year. And that's for me as a younger person. And then as you get older, you accept less, because you're trying to just protect your money at a certain point, right? So I think that's the right mentality to have. And I would just describe this first quarter as maybe if we don't want to use corrections, I know correction is technically 10% or so. You could just say, I always call it a little bit of coming back to Earth, in a sense. We were all on a SpaceX rocket last year, getting excited with Elon Musk, and now we're coming back to Earth a little bit. And that's okay, because that's what markets are going to ebb and flow, right? The important thing is that over the long term, if you believe in the country, if you believe in the world economy, they go up, right? So I would tell people, you don't need to be worrying about, a quarter, or to be honest, you really don't even need to be worrying about a year. If you have a good plan, if you have a solid long-term plan, right, that's what you want to be riding into the future. So never make snap decisions of, oh my goodness, I need to buy this because everyone else is, or I need to sell this because it looks like everyone else is.
Great answer. I got about 4 minutes here before a conference call at 1:45, and I want to talk NFTs. NFTs are all the rage. We got Rob Gronkowski, the Super Bowl winning tight end from Tampa Bay, in the space, non-fungible tokens. Talk to me about NFTs.
So it's sort of an outgrowth, I would say, of your Bitcoin kind of thing. So a Bitcoin is a token, right? So it's not real. There's no actual coin, right? It's a non-tangible thing. But it's fungible in the sense that if I give you a Bitcoin and you give me a Bitcoin, we have the exact same thing. They're totally interchangeable. A non-fungible token, or an NFT, is basically like a mark on something, on a digital object that says, this thing, there is no replica of it. This is not identical to another digital token. And some of these have gone for crazy amounts. I mean, you're talking Christie's, the auction house, sold a digital image with an NFT attached to it. So like a digital, piece of code attached to this for $69 million to some, very wealthy individual who I would say maybe had a little too much time and money on his hands that he went and purchased this. But it's being used a lot for art collections now. I think there's some potential for digital artists to be able to, because people, digital artists, photographers, their work is being used all the time on the internet. It's really hard to prevent someone from stealing your work and just copy pasting it to their website, right? So you put a digital token on it, and now you can potentially monetize your artwork in the sense that people will pay you to own the original, right? To own the original of a photograph that's on your website that they can then use on their website and not have to worry about all the Creative Commons licensing and all the copyrights, but as they bought this token from you. So I think it has some potential there, even if right now it's getting a little crazy as many new technologies do at the very beginning. And I would just sort of remind people, this reminds me a little bit of 2011, 2020. I can't tell you how many times when Bitcoin spiked in 2011 and then when it went up again last year, tons of people asking me about, Alex, should I buy Bitcoin? Should I invest in Bitcoin? But no one really talked to me about Bitcoin when it crashed 50% in 2012, because then it wasn't as interesting anymore. Right? So there's always ebbs and flows, and I think at some point, people would be slightly less interested in the crazier aspects of $70 million NFTs, but become more interested, I think, for online artists to potentially make some money on their photography and their work.
Jack Dorsey, guys, the billionaire co-founder of Twitter, sold his first ever tweet, the first ever tweet he'd ever done, for $2.9 million as an NFT. Alex Urpí, in about 45 seconds here, Alex Urpí, give us some insight to today y mañana, Thursday at 10:15 a.m.
It's going to be awesome. So we're going to have on Andrew. He is the head brewer, also known as the Toji of the North American Sake Brewery. He's going to come on, talk to us, tell us about his business, all the exciting things that he is doing there, because it's a really amazing looking place to think that one of the very few actually in the area, in the country, let alone the area. And then we're going to have on Carolina Medina, and she's the operations coordinator at Community Investment Collaborative, so CIC. We're going to be talking resources for the small businesses out there. There's a major one coming up for restaurateurs, that they really need to be aware of. So we're talking resources with her in English and Spanish, some advice for the Latino community, her perspective as a Latina professional. And so it's going to be an awesome show. I mean, jam-packed this time for sure. So people definitely don't want to miss it Thursday at 10:15.
Alex Urpí, thank you, my friend. You're amazing.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good one, Alex Urpí. Judah, if you kick that phone for me and turn that off. Alex Urpí, CEO, Emergent Financial Services. CEO, Emergent Financial Services. Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. I Love CVille Network, today y mañana. Just a phenomenal resource for the community, certainly for the Latino community. That's the show. We showcase the best of Charlottesville, Virginia on the I Love CVille Show. My friend, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on a glorious day to be alive. Remember, if you are above the mud, it's a glorious day to be alive. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille Show. Have a good afternoon.